We'll have a Q&A option at the end so that if you have questions, that you jot them down so that we can then address those. So if you want to mute your line, if you go down the very bottom menu, you'll see a little microphone that moves when you talk. Go ahead and click that, and it should have a red line that goes through it. Second topic is if you are having some challenges with your connectivity, sometimes taking off video, if you have video on, can help that and will reduce the strain on your Wi-Fi or your internet connection. And then Tasmira, I don't know if you have the ability to record the meeting or not, but I know that Abdullah had asked that we do that for those who might not be able to make it.
The meeting is currently being recorded.
Oh,
thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, so welcome to the MANCOSA online walkthrough of what our classrooms are going to look like for you. And like I said, I will have a Q&A session, so please be sure to jot down any questions that you might have. And I'm going to jump right in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll probably take myself off of video just so that it doesn't give you any glitches with me sharing, just to be safe. And okay. Can you guys confirm that you can see that for me?
Yes, we can see this.
Perfect, perfect. So I'm going to expand that out, and I'll show you here what this looks like. So once you get your enrollment information and you have signed up for your first module, you will get a link to our online learning platform. And when you click on that link, this is what you're going to see. This is the platform for online learning. And you'll see here I have, it says Test Student 1. That's because if I put in my actual login, what you'll see is a whole lot of administrative detail that will be just overwhelming and confusing. So I wanted to give you a view of what you'll actually see. And I think that you'll recognize, some of you may recognize the name of the test student when we log in here. Whenever you do your login, you'll either have a login ID or you'll have your password, or I'm sorry, excuse me, your email that you'll be using for the online learning. And you'll use your MANCOSA password as well. And so once you do that, you can just go ahead and click login. And you'll be taken to what you see here, which is, it's what we call our My Modules page. And the My Modules page is really going to be your foundation for what you do for online learning. It'll be the home base for you. So when you log in, you'll see you'll have a bunch of tiles here in the center of the page. You also have your profile information. As I mentioned, you may recognize this is John Lennon if you're a Beatles fan. Our administrator had a sense of humor and decided to give me a bunch of Beatles to log in and use for student accounts. And up here at the top, you have a section that is a profile, and this is a menu that will allow you to go in and update your profile. You'll be able to connect any social media that you'd like to connect, chat features, etc. And also, as you can see, you can update it with an image of yourself, which we recommend that you do. There's a lot of perception that you're out on an island somewhere away from interacting with students. Oh. Okay, good. Sorry, we had a little background noise there. And like I said, there's sometimes a perception that you don't have a sense of community, and really what you'll hear here in the first few minutes is, and when we jump into the module itself, we're really emphasizing the importance of you engaging with your instructors and with your colleagues, and that includes updating your profile information, like where you're from, what your background is, what your aspirations are for after finishing your degree program or your program itself. And having an image up there can really help that. In the first module, in the first week of every module, the first unit, where you're asked to produce a very short video introduction of yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and I'll show you that here in a second. So the profile is really where you do that. Then you have a dashboard, which can help show you all kinds of information and reports about how often you've logged in, how you've done on quizzes. Preferences really allows you to go ahead and the most important feature of the preferences, I would say, is to be able to control your subscriptions to the forum posts, which I'll show you here in a moment as well. Then you have a link to see every one of the modules that you're enrolled in, and the grades page, which will show you not just your overall grade, but the grades that you received on individual assignments within each module. And then obviously a log out button. So that's really the menu here up at the top. And then the most important part is down here below, where you're going to see tiles that represent the modules that you're enrolled in. So what you don't see is right here, if you can see where my cursor is, you will actually see, as you progress through your modules, you'll see a link that has the year. And so, for example, you'll have 2018, then you'll have 2019, and you can sort by year, or you can sort here by using, and we're going to look at the strategic marketing management module as an example, or you can select the star to favorite a particular item and organize them that way. Each of these tiles represents a module, and you'll see these all have dev because these are the development masters that are currently enrolled, and that's really you won't see the dev portion of that, but the titles remain the same. That's really an internal issue right now that we want to clarify, which is the important place to put all of the information for you so it gets copied correctly to all of your classes. But if you look here on the tile, you'll see that there's a background. You'll see an image of your instructor. As I pointed out, you have the opportunity to favorite a module, so you can order them and organize them. And you'll see a progress bar here at the bottom, and you'll see two aspects to this. Really, you'll see it says progress out of 1 out of 69. And that means there are 69 individual elements in the module that you, over the course of 5 weeks, will engage with. And as you engage, each individual section that you engage with will have an option to either manually check it and mark it complete, or there will be completion requirements. For example, submitting the assignment, it won't mark itself complete until you actually submit that assignment. But once you do, you'll see here, there's one here already. You'll see a little green bar here, and you'll see one down here at the bottom as well. This indicates visually how far you've completed the module. So at a quick glance, you can see how far along you are in all of your modules and how much left you have. It also gives you a percentage here. So that's a nice feature. Over here on the right, you see that you have a dashboard. And the very top of this dashboard includes your deadlines. And what this section does is it lays out for you all of the deadlines that you have for your modules that you're currently enrolled in. And they're organized by priority in terms of date. So whatever's due soonest will be appearing at the top. You also have some information that's available, right? So it tells you the actual assignment, it tells you the module, it tells you the date and time that it's required, and then it tells you whether or not you've submitted it with a direct link to that actual assignment in case you want to just jump straight to that assignment. You also have a calendar here at the bottom, which I can actually click on that for you, and it should pop up with a calendar. You'll see that the calendar is kind of large here, and let's see if we just look at the strategic marketing management module, and it will tell you what you have due by a certain time, right? So Sunday is the end of the week for our modules, so Sunday at midnight, and you'll see that you have a whole bunch of things in each of these weeks that are due. And visually, these are direct links to what it is that you need to accomplish. If you want just a very quick shot visual, you can go down here to the bottom and you'll see the calendar has highlighted in red places where you have due dates for things. And some of them are readings, some of them are knowledge checks, some of them are assignments, but you see that you have something due at each of these dates because of the red dot. Okay, let's see, we'll go back here. Not sure why I did that. Second, you have the feedback section. So once you've submitted an assignment for your instructor to review, then in this section here, it says you have no recent feedback, which means that whatever I've submitted, it hasn't been graded yet, or it's awaiting feedback from our instructor. And once you actually have something here that pops up, it'll say view my feedback. So you'll be able to actually open directly the feedback from the instructor on your assignment and read the comments that they might have included, see your scores, etc. So it's nice to know that this pops up right away whenever that's completed. Back on the Beatles theme, you see Ringo Starr messaged me within the platform. So this is another element of the community that we were talking about, where we have an option within the platform for you to collaborate with your peers, so in your colleagues in your class. And you can do that one way by messaging them through the platform. It's a private message feature that only you and the other individual will see. And you can also message your instructor through this platform in the same way. So when you get a new message, that pops up here, and that'll take you directly to the messages page. And then you have the forum posts page and or list, excuse me. The forum post list is similar to the deadlines list in that it puts the most recent things at the top. But what this actually lists for you is in each of the discussion forums for each of the modules, you will see an option to subscribe in some cases to a particular post or subscribe to the forum, and any updates that come through. So any of your colleagues' postings, if you subscribe to a forum or the instructor, you'll see that when that happens, it will pop up here under forum posts so that you are aware of anybody who is responding to your particular question or your particular response. And also if the faculty member or the instructor actually has an announcement for you, you'll see that pop up right here. So this is nice, so you can actually see when individuals have engaged with your posts or that the instructors actually posted something new. So I'm going to jump into the module to give you a sense of what you're actually going to see when you select your module. And when you open your module, the first thing you'll see is the Start Here page. And I know that some of you may already be familiar with how to navigate through an online classroom. Some of you may not. You will also be getting a link at some point soon here once you've signed up and you're all registered. You'll be able to engage with the student orientation here in about a week and a half or so. And that student orientation will actually walk you through navigation. It will give you some tips and guides so that you can download them and have them handy on how to do things like submitting assignments, how do I post to a discussion board, etc. How do I navigate the classroom? What are some quality tips for discussion posting and engagement? So you'll have a whole lot of options to be able to look at. It'll also include a time management planner. If you don't already use a time management planner for scheduling your study, you'll see that there's a section on time management, and we recommend that you incorporate that into your routine daily or weekly, and think about the next 5 weeks once it launches and you start your class, about what personal and professional priorities you have and obligations, as well as what the due dates are for your assignments, so that you're able to plan your study accordingly. So the Welcome and Start Here page actually will do a couple of things. You'll see down here on the left-hand side, you'll see a table of contents, and you'll notice that each of these are active links, and they'll take you to these respective pages in the module. You can always find and navigate your way through the module by clicking through on one of these table of contents links, and this is visible most of the time throughout the entire module. There's also a search feature up here, which is pretty nice. So if you have a particular topic that you are interested in finding, or if you're working on your module project, you think about, well, gosh, I know that we covered a SWOT analysis, for example, and I just can't remember what section of the course that it's in, or a section of the module. You can type that in up here, and it will pop up all the different places where SWOT analysis appears. So it's a nice feature for you to be able to have. And when you jump into the first page of this module, it will give you a couple of things. It'll give you an introduction to the overall module. And what this section does is it really provides you a rationale. So why am I taking this module? Why is it in my program? And what exactly am I going to be covering whenever I do this? So it's a nice, I guess, an hors d'oeuvre, if you want to think of it that way, of giving you a presentation of what you're going to cover. And then here's the Start Here page. And you'll notice that this information just appeared on the screen. But down here, you have a Read More button. And when you click the Read More button, you'll see that it expands like an accordion. And that's really just so that you can, you know, expand and contract text on the page so that you can easily navigate. Here in the Start Here section, you'll see a Before You Begin element. If your module requires you to download an ebook, it will give you the directions on that. In this particular case, you have that instance right here. You have a strategic marketing handbook, textbook that they want you to download. And then it also includes study tips. And this is also something that's covered in the orientation, but this is also here in each and every module so that you can look back and reference it just in case you don't have it memorized. It'll be old hat to you by the time you're halfway through, but it really walks you through the recommended study approach for how to approach each unit or each module, in the module, excuse me. And really, it lets you know that it's, you know, some people will just attack something in a very linear fashion when really what, you know, best learning practices really tell you that you should be doing a couple of things first. You should be looking at the objectives for each of the units that you're embarking on. And so that will give you an idea of what it is you're going to cover in that particular unit or week. You should take a look at what assignments are due in that particular week and get a sense of what you're going to be assessed on. And then to go ahead and look at the resources and make sure that you're able to download those resources, that you have a list of them so that you can reference them throughout the week, especially if you don't have a consistent internet connection. You'll have the ability to save those resources in a document so that you're able to look at them offline instead of always needing to be connected. So that's also a nice feature, especially if you travel. Third, you'll see that there are learning packets, and I'll explain what those are here in just a moment, but really that's where the quote-unquote teaching takes place. And as graduate level students, really what the expectation is that you'll be consuming a lot of materials, and you'll be reading some text chapters, you'll read journal articles, you'll read web links, current events, but also watching media that's presented, using some interactive media if necessary. And the learning packets really serve as a narrative for you through the material. So it will help walk you through and give you the story of the module, so to speak, where it helps guide you through the order in which you should be reviewing materials and resources. And it will help make some connections between those resources and topics as you go through the module. Fourth, there's with every learning packet, there is a knowledge check. And you'll notice that there are a couple of learning packets in each unit once we get into the next week or the next section here. And that's done very intentionally. Again, research shows that chunking learning can be very helpful in terms of retention and comprehension. And we also give you opportunities to check that knowledge that you've acquired. So for example, you'll see a topic covered in one learning packet, and then at the end of that learning packet, after you've read the resources and actually read the packet itself, you'll also see that there is a brief knowledge check, which is really an automated quizzing system that will ask you to apply what you've learned. And these are not just basic recall questions, which I'll show you, which when I say that, I mean, this is not just a basic, what is the definition of kind of question. These are really scenario-based that ask you to think about the topics, think about what you've just learned, and then apply that. And it gives you feedback automatically. So it gives you a sense of, did I really understand what I just read and watched, or do I have to go back and look at some of those resources again? Then, after you do those knowledge checks and you're comfortable, then we recommend that you move on to the actual assessment. So whether that's a discussion question or whether that's an actual assignment, once you've gone through that process, it really will help you. And like I said, this order of operations here, this study approach is actually in all of your modules so that you're able to take a look at that again if you need the reminder. So that's the first Welcome Here, Start Here page. And the very next page is the module homepage. And this page really is a page of, it's where all the administrative details are for your module, if you want to think of it that way. And it gives a little bit of a little mini table of contents, if you will, up here at the top. It tells you what's in this particular page. And if you want to read more about it, again, you can expand that, and it walks through what each of these pieces are, right? And you'll notice up here, there's a little checkbox, right? And you'll see here that it's grayed out. So in this particular case, I can actually check that, and you'll see that it turns green, right? And once that turns green, if you actually go back to the My Modules page, you'll see that, remember, we said progress was 1 out of 69. Now it says 2 out of 69. So there are some items that are for you to check, and those are items that you'll check whenever you've actually completed them yourself. And then there are items that are required, that you have completion requirements. So for example, most discussion forums, most assignments, the outcomes and the resources are typically, in order for them to be marked complete, you have to have viewed them. Or in the case of assignments, you have to have submitted something. Second part of this particular page here is to download the student resources. So every one of your modules will have this folder that appears here, right? It's a student resources folder and has all of the documents that you might need for your module. And some of these documents will actually appear throughout the module as well, but we wanted to give you one place where you could download the entire folder by just clicking. And it gives you a template for your individual development plan, which we'll talk about here in a moment. It gives you the discussion rubric. It gives you the full development plan framework that you're able to use. You'll learn about that and complete that as part of your orientation. The time management planner that I mentioned is also appearing here. You also have the module project rubric and criteria. And you have the quick guide that I mentioned before that helps you with some of the technical aspects of the module. So how do I navigate this way? How do I update my profile? How do I set my permissions? How do I submit an assignment? How do I upload a video? All of those things are included in the quick guide. And then you'll see a tips for quality discussion document as well. So like I said, you'll be able to download this with every one of your modules. Then you'll see a discussion forum. And I'm not going to click here because it's not built out yet, because your instructor, once your instructor is assigned, they will actually build this forum for you so that they're able to actually post a welcome and some announcements. But in this discussion forum, you'll see 3 threads that appear. You'll see the announcements thread, where the instructor is able to post announcements about the module, anything that might have to change, if there's any update to a resource. Also, if there are current events going on or current material that comes out while you're actually taking the module, they can post those resources to this particular thread, and everybody will get that. You're typically always, you're subscribed to the announcements forum automatically. So, and if you're not, you want to double check and make sure that you are. There's an introductions thread. So your instructor will actually post their introduction to all of you, telling you a little bit about themselves, telling you a little bit about their professional background, and really just giving you a sense of who they are. And as part of the first element in this particular module, and all of your modules actually, you'll post a quick 30-second, hi, I'm Dawn, and I'm enrolled in this particular program. Here's my background. Also, I love comic books. I'm sure that they'll have an icebreaker for you. So, make sure that you watch the instructor's introduction. They'll give you some more details about what they want you to say. And then there's a Q&A thread. And this is really for general Q&A for the entire module. So let's say you run into a problem accessing a resource, or when you download something, it doesn't open properly. You can post a question to the Q&A section, and that really is for the benefit of all students. Something you don't want to do is post direct questions about your own grades or your own work in the Q&A section. That's better handled in email or through messages with your instructor. But this is a public forum that the answers would benefit all students, okay? Below that, you'll see the module outcomes and roadmap. And this lays out for you the outcomes for the entire module. So this is what you should accomplish by the end of the module, should you complete the module. And it's good to remember, I said that's one of the first things you want to look at whenever you log into your modules, is to actually look and take a glance and see what it is that you'll be accomplishing in this particular module. And then you see the module roadmap here. And this is really just an assessment grid that lets you know what unit something is due. So, and this is going to be the same for all of the modules that are in the MBA and the PG DIP programs. So what you'll see here is you see in Unit 1, you have an introduction, you have a knowledge check, and you have to update your individual development plan, but there are no graded assignments. Just because something's not graded doesn't mean it's not important. There's a difference between formative and summative assessment. And so formative assessment is really meant for you to get feedback about your progress, your comprehension, and help you with your studies in terms of helping you understand what you might need more work on or what you really understand quite well. The summative assessments that you'll see here are discussion forums, and you'll have one in Unit 2, so week 2, and then one in Unit 4. And then you have your module project. And the module project really is the culmination of your experience in the module. And that module project is submitted in 2 parts. The first part is in Unit 3, and the second part is in Unit 5. And that's, like I said, that's the end of the module. And you also have a reflection in your individual development plan at the end of that module. So this will also appear in all of your modules, so you're able to take a look. But this helps you to be able to plan out your studies accordingly. Second, in the last piece of this module homepage is the individual development plan. And as I mentioned, the individual development plan is something that you will start in your orientation, and you'll update with each of the modules that you take. And before you begin Unit 1, we ask that you step back and you think about the impact of this particular module. So let's say that I am taking the MBA so that let's say I'm happy in my job now, but I really want to open my own business, right? In my individual development plan, I'll lay out that, my professional goals are, I either want to get promoted in my current role, or I want to open my own business after I complete my MBA or investigate that. And in order to do that, there are some things I need to work on. I'm taking the MBA because I want to make sure that I have the appropriate foundational skills to be able to do that. I have some business skills, but I want to see what I'm missing. Plus, I want the credential. And that's a great individual development plan, and it helps align with my personal and professional goals. When I jump into the first module here, what each module asks you to do is to step back and think about the particular module that you're working on. So in this case, it's strategic marketing management, right? So it will ask you to actually think about what do I already know about this module? What are my hopes about what this module will provide me, and what will help me with my individual development plan and my goals? Do I have experience with this particular module content? I might have a lot of experience in marketing, but I may not know anything about digital media marketing. So I'm hoping that, I'm able to actually get some insight onto that. So you'll post that update, and there's a very easy update template that is included in every module for you to be able to update and then post. And you'll see here the breakdown. This is the first real assignment block that you see. And you'll see that it says assignment. You have your little icon here and a little bit of the overview. And you'll see down here it says not submitted and when it's due. This will obviously reflect what your actual due date is, and it won't reflect August 21st. But when it says not submitted, you'll notice that this is an active link, the title's an active link, and so is the icon. So if you decide you're going to update that, you'll see here a couple of things, and this is very common for all of the assignments that you're going to submit. You'll see the title of the assignment, the due date and time. You'll see the information about what you need to submit, and oftentimes you'll have down here some of those resources that I mentioned before. We want to make it easy for you to be able to access the resources that you need for each assignment. So you'll see the templates, the update templates here, the actual full development plan guide, and then that student quick guide in case you need some support in submitting something. You're able to add comments to your submission. So let's say some people just say, hey, to your instructor, Prof. Bunja, I just wanted to let you know, I updated this. Thanks for the feedback that you gave me on the question I asked you. That's great. You can add that comment there, and it's really just to your instructor. Assignments, like your individual development plan, like your module project, are only viewed by your instructor. They're not viewed by the rest of your peers. Discussions, on the other hand, are open forum that everybody engages with. So when you submit something here, you'll have two things that occur. One, you have to upload your assignment, which is usually best done in a Word document of some kind. And you'll, in some of the module project, actually, the module project assignments will ask you to submit it through the Safe Assign platform, which is integrated here. It's not here because this isn't being graded. Remember, this is a formative assessment for your own development. But we'll look at that Safe Assign element whenever we jump to that. So I'm gonna jump to, excuse me, back to module home. And you'll see that was the last piece of that particular page. So you'll see down here at the bottom, you can see two navigation arrows, right? You can see start here, welcome to strategic marketing management. And you remember that was the page immediately before this one. Or you can go to the next section, which is the module project. This link will take you to the same place that is over here on the left-hand side. So we'll go ahead and click in the table of contents. You'll also, after the module home, we want to give you a one-stop shop, so to speak, for your major assessment for the module. And that's your strategic, in this case, the strategic marketing plan. It's your module project. And this gives you, again, a rationale for what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. And it gives you an overview of what the two elements are for submission. So in this particular assignment, you'll have sections 1 through 3 are due in Unit 3 of the module, and then the remainder 4 through 6 are due in Unit 5. This also highlights for you this green box with a little signpost. Throughout your module work, you're going to see this kind of call out or alert that pops up in your learning packets. And really the purpose of this is to let you know that something that you're reading about or viewing currently is part of your module project. And there are recommendations to start drafting that piece or go and take a look and have a plan for it. Because what you don't want to do is wait until the very last minute for a module project. You don't want to wait until the couple of days before to start that module project. If you can do some drafting of material early, that will help you with completing on time. So you'll see that there. Here, in this download folder, and all the folders will have this yellow box around it. This particular folder will provide you, again, with that quick guide, but also with the full PDF guidelines and instructions for the project. In Unit 3, you'll see just the pieces that are relevant to Unit 3, and Unit 5, you'll see just the pieces that are relevant to Unit 5. But you'll see in both cases, they'll be a part of this full guide here. So at the beginning of the module, you might want to download that just so that you're able to see what the requirements are. And then the rubric and criteria are also here so that you're able to see that. So those are all the administrative pieces. And then you jump into what an actual unit looks like. And I'm going to jump into Unit 1. And this is I'll walk through the structure for you, and again, we can have questions at the end, but you'll notice a theme here. So you have, the first section is the introduction, and think of these almost like movie trailers for the week, for the unit, right? It's supposed to do a little bit of provocative thinking for you. It's supposed to introduce some of the topics that you'll be covering and give a little bit of the rationale around it. So you have the introduction there. And then again, every unit you'll see the unit learning objectives. And this is what the objectives for this particular unit or this particular week. So these align back up to the module outcomes so that you'll be able to, if you complete these, you're going to be in the process of completing some of those outcomes for the whole module. But this gives you just basically a to-do list, if you will, for the actual unit. And again, you can check there or you can close that. After that, you have one spot where you can actually look at all of the learning resources for the unit, right? So you'll see in some cases there are PDFs of chapters. In some cases, it tells you that you have to go to the book that you downloaded. If you remember, we said that in that Start Here page, it told you have to download that ebook. It gives you a journal article, and this gives you direct links to the videos. What's important to know about this is a great feature, and you're able to use the app to download individual resources or the entire section here so that you have it. But what's nice about this is that you can download this section or copy this information, and you have it so you can work with it offline. That can be very, very helpful. What you'll also see is that all of these resources are actually going to be integrated into the learning packets. And I'll show you that here in a second. So again, with being able to expand and contract parts of the classroom, sorry for the quick scrolling, I apologize. Finally, the famous learning packets that we were talking about. A learning packet, like I said, it explains the narration of how you should be going through the material to learn. And you'll see here they have chapters, and most of them have between 5 and 7 chapters. And you'll see that this is not what you might expect. We don't have a 15-page reading for you just out of the learning packet here. This is really meant to introduce you to the material. And again, you'll get this another introductory provocative statement about the topics covered. And this particular packet is about value creation. And again, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see a table of contents. Learning packets are like mini books, if you want to think of them that way. You'll notice over here it says print book. And the nice part about this feature is that if you click print book, everything that's in, all the content that's in the learning packet and each of these pages will give you, it will be downloaded into one PDF for you. So you can actually download a chunk at a time and be able to look at that and pull up the resources instead of just sitting online the whole time. So that's really a really nice feature to have. And it's something that you can retain after you've completed the module. But you'll see here, again, a table of contents for within that book. And in this particular one, you'll see this one goes over the concepts of needs, wants, demand, and value in the context of marketing. And it gives you an interesting example about standing in front of a refrigerator for this particular case. But at the bottom, you'll see it says the following resources help explain these concepts. So it's important to know that it's not enough to just look at the learning packet. These learning packets aren't meant to be the full course. They're meant to help guide you in your reading of the materials and watching of the media and interacting with the media to help gather the nitty-gritty details about topics. And it's just really, I described it as the connective tissue between resources, because really that's where our focus is. And so this gives you 2 examples here that you should be reading for this particular topic. I'll jump down here in the navigation to the next page, and you'll see as well that you might end up having some visual aids that are created to help understand some concepts. And so again, you'll see a page, some helpful visuals, and in this case, you have 2 videos that they want you to watch. And in this, you have 2 thumbnails. These are also the same videos that are in that resource list. So what's nice about this is that when you click these, it'll open them up for you right there. So we make sure that we put the resources right with the learning so that you're not going back and forth and trying to find something. And like I said, we created a downloadable book for you. The last page, I'm going to jump ahead, is what's next page. And this really gives you a basic summary of what you've just covered in the entire learning packet and what the next learning packet's about. So what's interesting is if you look down here at the bottom, you can jump immediately to the knowledge check. The very bottom with these arrows are always going to be the main navigation of the module. And the ones that are here where it says previous, or in the case of the previous page, it would say next here and previous on the left. That's for navigation within the actual book. So I'm going to jump back to the actual unit page and show you the knowledge check visual, right? So learning packets are here, and you'll see that we just did that. So now we've got a check there. So if we go back, it'll actually show us on my module page that's been completed. You'll see on the quizzes for the knowledge check, you'll see they'll always have an orange line around them, and it says here, not attempted. To take the knowledge check, just click on that, and it will tell you the grading method. So it's the highest grade is what we're covering. This is covering Learning Packet 1, value creation, and you can attempt the quiz now. This, and I'm going to move quickly, this allows you to see, as I said before, some questions that are requiring you to give a little more thought to your answers than simply just question, answer, and recall, which is great. but these are the kinds of questions that you're going to see. You might have some drag and drops where you literally just drag the segments over. And once you complete the quiz, you'll actually have some feedback, which I don't want to go ahead and complete this at the moment for you, but you'll see a page that actually, I wonder if I can, no. I know we're running short on time, so I want to be able to get back to it. But you'll see a page that pops up, and it will show you out of the questions that you've completed what you got correct and what you did not get correct and why. And it will give you a recommendation on either moving forward or going back and reviewing the material again. So in this case, for Unit 1, you have Learning Packet 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll see that there's, if you remember our grid, our assessment grid, there's no major assignment for this particular unit. So I would be done for the week. I'll jump over to the second unit. And again, you see the same thing, learning objectives. You see the learning resources here, learning packets aligned with knowledge checks. And at the very bottom, you have a direction to download and review the discussion forum resources here. And again, here's the discussion rubric, so how you'll be graded on your discussion, the quick guide on how to post to a discussion board, and tips for the quality discussions. And again, a download folder for all of that. You'll see here the actual green is the actual discussion. So you'll see the little icon for that, and you'll see the green header. And if you click on that, you'll be taken to a discussion forum page. This gives you directions on the actual assignment. In this case, there's a bell tower garden scenario that you're going to review. And this tells you what the actual assignment is here under the discussion, and gives you some additional topics down here, or not topics, but direction of be sure to support your postings. Then there's the second part, which is your response to your colleagues. So the discussions are graded not just with your initial post, but also with your responses to your peers and sometimes your instructor. So on day 4, which is usually Thursday, your actual first post in response to the question is due. And then by the end of Sunday night, your response to at least one colleague and their posting is due as well. And in order to post your first post, you add the new discussion. And then when you come back to this page, you're going to see a list of your colleagues' posts. What's nice here is that you can jump directly to your forum subscriptions if you need them, or if you need to update them. So I'm going to go back to the very first page of the module, and you'll notice that I was clicking up here on the breadcrumb trail. That's another way to be able to navigate easily through the module. In Unit 3, I'm going to jump and just show you, again, you have the visual and you have your introduction for the week. For the unit, the objectives, the resources, again, the learning packets. And now you'll have a prompt to download the module project submission resources. And you'll see, remember the full project was in the module project section. This one has Unit 3 Submission 1 guidelines. So it's nice to be able to have that directly there. Your assignments are always going to have the blue bar and a blue icon there. And this gives you a sense of what that assignment is. It's just the first descriptor of the assignment that you have. And then it gives you, I did not submit this one, and it gives you the due date according to the time frame. And when you go, again, if you remember, we looked at this from the perspective of the individual development plan. And the same thing you see here, right? The title, the due date and time, the directions that you need to include, and where you go to add your submission. At the very end of the module, when you are finished, you will have a student feedback survey that you're able to, just like any other course or module that you take, we want to get feedback on how the experience was, how did you interact with your instructor, and that's really an important part of your completing the module as well. But that's essentially, those are all the pieces. It's pretty, hopefully it's pretty clear to how to navigate and go through. You'll have lots of opportunities to ask questions and get support. But I want to be able to open up the line for questions, if that's okay, Tasmira.
Hi, that would be great. Can I please ask that all recipients who use the chat function at the bottom of the screen to please include your first name, your last name, as well as your email address so that at the end of this webinar I can email these email this to you, please. Yeah, you can ask questions now, everybody. Thank you.
Any questions?
Hi, good day. I wanted to find out the discussion forums. How are those going to be assessed for team grades? Is it that student needs to participate in it, or the type of questions they ask during the forum will be graded?
It's a good question. So thanks for asking. So the discussion forums are graded using a couple of different means, and you'll see that whenever you're able to download the discussion forum rubric. So it's not just participation. It actually requires you to contribute to the discussion. There's, it's a specific question that you're being given. So you're given that scenario. And here, I'll even show you an example with Unit 2. If you scroll down, you'll see here it says Unit 2 discussion, and then it tells you to download the resources, and then here's the actual discussion. This scenario it sets up the background of the question for you, right? And then you're asked to respond to that as though you were, I believe in this case, if you were a marketing director, okay? And so you're assessed on, did you incorporate the resources? Did you understand the application of the theory and skills that you should have learned in this unit? Did you bring to the table insightful comments and a solid solution to the question? And when you're also judged on whether or not you're responding to a colleague, and it's not just, hey, good post. That's that's not really. It's not really collaboration, right? It's not really peer learning. So what we're hoping to do is create a sense of community where you all can give each other feedback, raise additional thoughts, saying, hey, have you thought about this? I was going to go down that path myself, but did you take a look at this third resource that we were supposed to read? Or you can say, I respectfully suggest that you may have misunderstood a particular piece of that resource. Or you could say, hey, I just found this when I was in the library looking at the journal article. This article also popped up. You might want to take a look at this if this is something that interests you. So the discussion forums are really about group discussion and group conversation. So you're assessed on participation. So yeah, you have to do it, but also on the quality of your response. You're not being judged in your discussion forums, you're not being judged on citation styles, but we want to make sure that it's professional sounding writing, that you're not using emoticons, stuff like that. But also that you are presenting the material and your understanding of the material in a coherent way. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? Tasmira, thoughts?
I think we should all use this opportunity very wisely, and if there are any questions or any doubts in your mind, let's ask them now.
And again, you'll also be able to go through, like I said, the orientation, so that you're able to practice submitting things and using the forums, and get some great helpful tools and tips, study resources, planning resources, context about successful skills for online learning. So what skills will help you be successful in completing your modules, etc. And you'll have opportunities there to also dig a little deeper and practice before you jump into the first module. So that's always nice too. Any questions about the structure or the order of operations or anything like that? Okay. Well, Tasmira, I guess if there are questions that pop up later, feel free to pass them along to me. I'm happy to respond to them.
Thanks very much for your time, Dawn. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks so much for the informative discussion, Dawn. We really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that you did. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you everyone for attending. I will email the webinar to all of you that have left your details on the chat, and enjoy your days further. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.